I used to bring water bottles full of vodka to school. By the time school ended, I would already be drunk. My best friend catfished me. I got kicked out because my family didn't want me home. Looks at me and he's like, "We're just finishing up a crime scene right now. I don't need to worry about you. Fuck it. I've got nothing to lose." Hello. Hey, so I've been wanting to talk about this for a while just because I know that 13-year-old me would have really appreciated it and would have wished that somebody else was telling their story that I could relate to. So I wanted to talk about how I overcame my alcohol and drug addictions and why I felt like I needed them in the first place. So in order to talk about that, we have to go way back when it started. So I experienced trauma super early in life. By the time I was 13, I just didn't know how to cope with the pain anymore. So at 13 is when I first started drinking. And I used to bring water bottles full of vodka to school in middle school, so I could sip on it throughout the day. And by the time school ended, I would already be drunk. I honestly don't know how I didn't get caught from teachers or like my family, but I would refill the alcohol bottles like with water, like what? But yeah, I don't know how I didn't get caught in school. Like I feel like I probably reeked of alcohol, but I guess I didn't. I guess I was already a functional alcoholic for them to not even question me. Prior to when I was 13, I just felt like because of that, there's just this level of self-loathing and shame that I went through that I didn't know how to deal with. So I turned to alcohol. And at 13, I also got arrested for being a runaway. I had to go to these, I think it was 2 or 3 days, like court ordered classes, kind of like AA meetings that I had to attend in order for like the runaway title to be cleared from my record. At this time also my best friend catfished me and I was also hospitalized for being suicidal, so I was on 24-hour watch. And so there was a lot happening in my life, and I felt because alcohol was easily accessible, I just gravitated towards that to basically numb myself. And this carried on definitely like throughout my whole adolescence pretty much. When I got into high school, my alcohol use was even heavier. So, and at this time I also partied a lot. So, but it's kind of embarrassing because I was one of those people who would get blackout drunk at these parties and I don't even know anybody, and I would just be that girl who's wasted on the toilet and just blacked out. There were many times where people have taken advantage of me. When I would gain consciousness again, I would be in like a guy's arms or something and I wouldn't remember. I have no recollection of what had happened. And also in high school is when I first started using drugs and marijuana. So it was just like a culmination of all of these things that I was using because I didn't like myself. I mean, to put it plainly, didn't like what I went through, and I feel like for a long time I made my pain and my trauma kind of like my personality. Like, you know, I didn't know how to cope with it. And being a teenager, the only thing I knew to do was just to party and be reckless. And so that carried on, and I went through shitty relationships. And so I feel that all of these things just kind of escalated. And so by 18, I got kicked out because my family didn't want me home because I was just reckless and fucking up. And I genuinely didn't think that I would make it to 21. Like ever since I was 13, I was just like, I genuinely do not think that I'm going to make it past 21. And I've had multiple attempts, and yeah, I never knew what to think of myself and my life until I was 21. I turned to alcohol and all these drugs because I genuinely wasn't comfortable with myself. But then I made it to 21. I feel like something clicked in my brain where I was genuinely shocked. I was like, I'm still fucking here. But by the time I reached my 20s, I was still drinking heavily. And also, it's easier to be an alcoholic when you're around other alcoholics. I was just around it all the time anyway. So I thought it was okay. So by the time I turned 21, something like clicked in my brain, and I'm like, I'm still here. So I might as well try something. I thought if I tried to do something with my life, like what would come out of it? Just be like, fuck it. Like, I've got nothing to lose. So I started to think of life as a game, and this is when I got into affirmations, and I would tell myself, I would slowly try to reprogram my mind and reprogram the things that I would tell myself subconsciously to be nicer, because I think in my head, my whole life, I just was not a nice person to myself. I'm nice to everybody else around me, but when it comes to myself in my head, I I didn't know how to be nice to myself. So in my early 20s is when I got into like listening to other people's successful stories, and we all started, I mean, generally, like, you all start from rock bottom, right? So my early 20s, I was like, I'm just gonna try and do something. Like, fuck it, I've got nothing to lose. So I got into aesthetics, and eventually I made my way up to owning my own business. And that was also eye opening, because it's like, I could really fucking do this. I can do what I say I want to do and achieve it if I really work for it, despite my past, despite all the hardships that I feel like I'm dealing with. It's possible. But at this time, I was still heavily relying on alcohol to be comfortable with myself, especially in a social setting, until the last time. And I'll tell the story of what happened, because it's genuinely crazy. So the last time I got like fucked up, like blackout drunk like this, it was a birthday party, and we were at the club, this birthday party. We're all having fun, we're dancing, and there was this security guard who was hella racist towards my family and my friends. And so that really triggered me. Like, I cannot deal with racist people. Like, it just irks my soul so much. So I was like, I was really about to fight this bitch. But in order for me not to do that, I need to just walk away. But when there's alcohol in me, all of that is heightened, and my anger issues, well, I mean, I wouldn't say I have anger issues, or had anger issues. It was just, it just made me so angry. And so I had to run away. And like my first coping mechanism, I was a runaway. I was always a runaway. So this night I was blackout drunk, and I ran away. I ran out the club, and then I black out. When I wake up again, or like gain consciousness, I'm walking on the sidewalk. And mind you, this is in Alaska, by the way, and it's like dead winter. So it's like freezing cold. And so when I gain consciousness, it's like pitch black outside, and I'm walking on the street, and it's freezing cold, and I only have a thin jacket on. And I just remember waking up, or like gaining consciousness, and being like, I'm sobbing, and I don't know why. And I'm digging in my purse to find my phone or my wallet, and I don't have either of those. So, and then I black out again. And then I don't know how long goes by, but I gain consciousness again, and there's these two guys holding me, like gripping, like pinning me back on the street, and I'm like sobbing and screaming, and I don't know what's going on. And then I black out again. Yeah, I black out again. And then when I gain consciousness again, I'm still walking in the street. The guys are gone, but then I see these cops and I see, like, the caution tape around this gas station. And so I walk over to the nearest cop that I see and I ask him, and I'm still sobbing, by the way. So I'm just crying. I'm just like, can you please take me home? I don't know where I am. And he dead ass looks at me and he's like, we're just finishing up a crime scene right now. I don't need to worry about you. And then I black out again. And then I gain consciousness again and I see this Domino's. I'm like by like this strip of like stores and I see Domino's is the only store that has the lights on. And I think by this time it's already like past 3 a.m. So I'm like banging on the door. I'm like, please, like, help me, like, can I use your phone? And I think the guy felt bad for me and so he let me in and he let me use the phone and I'm still like sobbing and I'm trying to dial all these numbers and like I'm so drunk that I can't even remember anyone's number. And there's like a couple of people's whose numbers I'd like, memorize in a heartbeat, but because I was so drunk, I couldn't remember anyone. So I'm just crying even harder and I'm sobbing. And then something just clicks in my brain and I'm like, wait, the only number I do know is my number and I don't have my phone. So I call my phone and then my uncle and my husband come to grab me and then I black out again. So that was a very, very traumatic experience. The last time being blackout drunk like that. And the next day I had bruises on my ribs and my arms, which I'm assuming were from those two guys. And I think that they were probably just trying to rob me and realize that I didn't have anything, but I really don't know. And that's what's scary. And the next day I googled that crime scene by the gas station that I saw and went up to, and when I googled it, I have made it at that because it was around 3 a.m. and the article said that it happened like 30 minutes prior to that time that I was there. And so if I had been earlier or, like anything could have happened. And like if I was walking there earlier, like I could have probably been part of that shooting. And I don't know, that's just what's scary. And so even then, I think that was the last time that I was like, I really need to stop this. Like I really need to get my shit together and not be like this anymore. It's getting really dangerous. So this is when I started to really live intentionally and be intentional about what I'm relying on. Like I don't want to be codependent on anything or anyone in order for me to feel comfortable with myself. Also, in high school is when I got into like pills and other drugs, and for a really long time I was addicted to Xanax because at the time that I was 13 and I was hospitalized and they diagnosed me with all of these, the shit that I'm going through. So I felt like in high school when I got addicted to Xanax, I was taking it every day and definitely abusing it. But there was a point where I came out to my mom and I was like, I feel like I genuinely need this because I felt like I felt better on it. But that's the drugs talking and that's the mental illness talking. Because looking back, like I genuinely didn't need. Yeah, I ran out of storage and I don't remember what I was saying. I think I was talking about Xanax and how I was addicted to that too for a long time. Yeah, so all this to say that started in my early teens. I was addicted to drugs and alcohol until like my 20s. The reason was because I felt like I wasn't comfortable with myself. So I relied on external things to numb the pain and to cope with it. After that last time I got blackout drunk, I was just like, I really need to change my life for the better, because why not? When I started thinking of life as a game, it made me want to see like what else I can achieve and what else I can accomplish without being codependent on anything or anyone. You know, this healing journey isn't linear at all. I think I still go through phases of, you know, where I feel like the old me trying to come back. But I think I've come a long way, and with confidence, I can say that I don't rely on alcohol or drugs anymore to be myself. And I've realized that I don't need anything external to love myself, and I don't need drugs or alcohol to have a good time. I really don't. This has been a long time coming for basically me learning how to love myself. But I'm not fully healed yet. Like I'm not saying like I'm 100% fully healed, and I don't know if that would ever be possible. I think going through life is going to be a constant battle and into, you know, this self-love journey, into this healing journey. And I think with life I'm always going to be experiencing new things, and but I think from now on it's that I'm not relying on anything else to have a good time or to live my life or to be comfortable with myself. Yeah, I wanted to make this video and talk about it because I know 13-year-old me, if she's seen someone who is going through similar things and, you know, realize that somebody else made it past 21 out there, I think that would have helped a little bit, and at least helped to know that there was someone out there that I resonated with, because I don't really know too many people who can say that they were an alcoholic at 13, and I'm not trying to flex that, but I just think for a long time in my life I felt lonely because I didn't know anybody else who was going through the same things that I was going through. So yeah, if you listened this far, if you resonated, I would love to know. If you're still struggling, I'm here for you. Genuinely, I mean it. And I promise I get it. So, but if anything, let me know. And if you'd like to hear more of my story, let me know. I've got a lot of stories. I've got stories for days. I've got a lot of good ones and I've got a lot of fucked up ones. Anyways, I'm gonna stop here. If you resonated, if you listened this far, thank you so much. And if you're struggling or if you know someone, I promise I get it. I'm here for you. And yeah. I guess I'll see you in the next one if you stick around. Bye.